welcome to a brand new episode of Scott Fox After 9. Today's episode, I'm going to talk about a number of different things, and I'm going to try and go reverse chronological here as I lay out why you should listen to this podcast for the next, 40 minutes to an hour. If I've got time at the end, I'm going to talk a little bit about Donald Trump. Yesterday, he did something that I didn't think I'd ever see in my lifetime. Sending the U.S. National Guard into the streets to act like police officers in Washington, D.C. That's kind of a controversial one. He also talked about Russia and his meeting later this week with Vladimir Putin. I'm going to talk about that if I have time. But I want to do what I've been encouraging our politicians here in Canada to do for a while now, focus on domestic issues. Because the Donald Trump thing, we all have different thoughts about Donald Trump. Kind of aligned in some ways in that we all think he's an a-hole. Understood, yes. However, this trade deal thing, not having one is embarrassing, but it's not the end of the world because so far tariffs aren't having that big an impact. I'm not all that concerned about tariffs. I'm much more concerned about the domestic issues here. So I'm going to focus on a few of them. Number one, if you haven't heard yet, and I'm sure you have, the 2026 FIFA World Cup is coming to Toronto. And it is gross what the city of Toronto and FIFA are doing to the citizens of Toronto. I'm going to talk about that coming up. I'm also going to spend a little bit of time following up on a popular topic from yesterday, taking a walk in the woods, and whether or not it's possible for you in your running shoes and your Lulu tights and your hoodie to spontaneously combust and light a whole forest on fire. We talked about that yesterday. If you missed that, I encourage you to go back and listen to Monday's episode. But I'm going to do a follow-up today because the story has changed. If you're following the bouncing ball, there's a new development, and I'm going to get to that. I also want to talk today about speed cameras. Speed cameras are basically photo radar, and they're allowed now in Ontario because of a horrible deal that was made with the municipalities in this province. They can use these things as a revenue generating tool. The province has given the municipalities the ability to put these cameras in. The problem is they're very, very predatory. These cameras, I feel very passionate about them, and I'm probably going to get hot in this episode. Actually, before I get too far hot into this one, let me bring in the great Anna Almeida. Hi, Anna. How you doing?
Hey, I'm excited for all of these discussions we're going to have, all hot topics and all on people's minds.
These speed cameras are for municipalities who are run by idiots who don't know how to follow a basic budget. That's exactly what they are. Politicians who were smart enough to get elected, but really too stupid to know what's going on in the middle class. They seem to think that these cameras are the solution to their inability to balance a budget. So we're going to talk about those speed cameras first and foremost, and I'm going to go with the head idiot. I'm going to start off with El Numero Uno, the one who is running Toronto, the one who is going to come back to you in October and ask you for your vote once again to be reelected mayor of Toronto, even though by every single metric, a complete failure. Just a complete abomination.
Does she just not see that she's doing more harm to herself than good and that she's really pissing people off? I mean, these speed cameras, every time I hear one has been knocked down, I'm like, that's right. Knock them all down.
Yeah, I feel the same way. We're going to get to that coming up. But first off, I haven't talked to you in a while on the pod. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry I sound raspy. I'm going for that sexy, country twang voice.
You went to Boots and Hearts.
That's why. Yeah.
How was it this year?
It was my first time. So based on my experience this time, I had a blast. However, everybody said it was a little down in terms of numbers of people, but it was hot. I loved the music. Sam Hunt was there. It was an interesting ending. He ran out of power and then the show was over, but the crowd was good. And yeah, the drinks, although very expensive. I drank before I went into the parks. It was like $15 a beer.
That's ridiculous.
It's robbery.
So I don't know if you heard yesterday's episode, but one of the things I talked about at the end was Las Vegas. Las Vegas, apparently tourism is way, way, way down. And I think that this is a reflection on where things are going. Vegas used to be a mecca. And part of the reason that Vegas was a mecca that everybody wanted to go is because it was affordable. You could do an Air hotel for 4 nights and you could get it for about $500-600. Then if you had, say, $500 in your pocket, that was your gambling money, your drinking money, and your food money. You could go to every casino on the strip and get a buffet for $19.99. It was affordable.
Yep.
Now, $50 cover to get into some of these nightclubs.
Oh, I know. It's wild.
Drinks for a basic vodka and soda water.
Yep.
$20. No wonder people aren't going there anymore. They don't hold a monopoly on gambling. Anybody can gamble with many different apps for your phone, and it's too expensive. So I'm not surprised that people are not going to Vegas anymore. And I think that there's a lesson to be learned there. The public will only be squeezed so much.
Yeah.
Only so much. And these festivals that think, okay, we're going to do a policy, you can't bring in outside alcohol. That's obviously a good policy because that's the law. You can't bring in outside alcohol to a licensed area. That's fine. But because they've got you, they think they can charge you whatever the hell they feel like charging you. I'm glad that people are finally starting to reach a tipping point and say, I'm not paying it. I don't need a beer for $20 or $15. I can get the exact same beer for $2.50 at the convenience store, and I'm not doing it anymore. I'm glad that people are finally saying enough is enough. I'm not paying it anymore.
That was me when they actually said how much it was. I was like, that is robbery. And he's like, I just work here, ma'am. And I was like, first of all, you're dead to me. You said, ma'am. Secondly, this is outrageous prices. But it was my first event that it was cashless and debitless and all that. So you had to use your wristbands to pay for everything, which is genius on their end because once you're intoxicated, you don't realize. You're just excited. Like, here's my wrist. Charge it to the wrist. Charge it to the wrist. By the end of the night, the end of the weekend, you owe so much money. It's awful. And these are young kids, too. So
I hope people were responsible and didn't spend more than they could afford to spend. Those wristbands, you're right. They are a little dangerous from time to time because it is hard to track how much you're spending. I've also heard that you had to look very closely at the screen to see if a tip was automatically added. And if you didn't want to leave that amount for a tip, you had to manually edit it. But a lot of people apparently, because the lines were so long and people were just filtering through as quickly as possible, didn't look and ended up paying more than they intended to pay.
Absolutely. So I did hear a lot of rumblings. It's just people complaining about how expensive different parts of the event were. Like, I was happy to be there, but I also went in with, I'm not going to spend that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have fun, listen to music. And they even charge you for the water. I was like, can I just have a cup of water? Like, give me something, man. I just need to stay hydrated. I know. It's some food for thought, right?
I think they take advantage of people at stuff like that. If I were going to a concert, I'd go dry. I'd pre-drink or I'd smoke a doob.
Yeah.
I am not paying those extortionate prices that they charge in arenas and stadiums and at festivals. I'm just not doing it. It is such a markup. It's obnoxious, and I'm not doing it anymore. I really wish more people would, because there's only one way that prices will come down.
Yeah.
You got to say no. You got to resist the temptation, resist the urge, and say, I'm not paying it. And eventually, we will see prices come down. We're seeing it already in the fast food industry. They raised their prices so high, people stopped going. And now they're scrambling, trying to get us to come back with all these crazy offers.
The thing is, I could afford to buy it, but I just don't want to do that. Why would I do that? I'm not buying into it. And yeah, I was the one. I was smoking a joint. I had the best time. I danced my heart out. I sang my heart out, and it was great. And I wasn't hungover the next day. So
Amazing.
There you go.
Hey, people ask me from time to time, hey, whatever happened to that segment you used to do? What is Scott smoking? Yeah, you know what? I got so sidetracked with different things like the election and things like that I did kind of forget about that segment. But since people have been asking, I'll tell you what I'm smoking right now and what I really like, particularly for around the house and for golf. It's called Thumbs Up Sativa or Thumbs Up Indica. Two different kinds. This is a little green tube, and it's a good price point. It comes in around 26 to 28% on the THC scale. You get 2 1-gram pre-rolls for about $8.
Ooh.
Some places sell it for $10, but in that range. That's still fairly affordable. If you can go $5 or under for a gram of weed pre-rolled, I think that's a fair deal.
Yeah. Yes.
Thumbs Up Sativa is the one I like. I haven't tried the indica, but the Thumbs Up Sativa or indica, both of them are good. Little green tube, should cost you about $10, and you get 2 1-gram pre-rolls in there.
And how do you feel? What are you smoking it for? Is there anything in particular?
So the sativa one, the first couple times I smoked it hit me a lot harder than it does now. Now it's just a nice light buzz, and I feel pretty good after it. The first couple times I was real creative. That was when I wanted to sit down and figure out the world's problems, and when I wanted to sit down and figure out what my next career is going to be, and stuff like that. It's good stuff, though. Okay. Thumbs Up is the name of the brand, and I will try and get back on track with What is Scott Smoking. Now, let's get to some of what we're going to be talking about on this episode. Have you gotten a ticket from these speed enforcement cameras?
Yeah, pieces of shit.
They're so bad.
I'm sorry.
So bad. I have now had 3 of them.
See, this is outrageous.
And I am not a bad driver. I have a perfectly clean record, spotless. I have nothing on my record. When I was younger, I got a speeding ticket. But in many, many, many years, I haven't been pulled over by a police officer who said I did something wrong and wrote me a ticket and invited me to challenge it in court. That's the way it's supposed to work. These speed enforcement cameras, still relatively new, and this, nearest I can tell, was some sort of a deal that was cut between the province and the municipalities, where even though we've already rejected photo radar in this province, in Ontario, they're now coming out again with photo radar. And it's very, very arbitrary. It is very sensitive, and they'll nail you for things that a cop wouldn't. And that's the big problem. The law is no longer being evenly enforced, because if it's an actual cop and you're doing 6 kilometers an hour over the limit, the cop's not even going to look up from what they're doing. This speed enforcement camera is going to jam you, and the ticket is going to be anywhere from $80 to $100 plus a victim surcharge. I still can't figure out who the victim is here.
Yeah, my bank account.
And they're just totally exploiting people. And the other reason that it's not applied evenly in this situation is because basically, if you've got money, that's total permission to go as fast as you want. If you can afford to pay whatever the fine is, have at it, because it doesn't come with any points on your license. It doesn't affect your insurance rates. It's just a tax. If you want to drive 100 in a 50 zone, yeah, go right ahead. If you can afford the fine, go for it. Most people can't.
Yeah.
And a $500 fine for some people is a lot less impactful than a $50 fine for others who don't have a lot of money.
Yeah. It's just,
these things should be somebody should rule them unconstitutional.
I love the way you're putting it, because it's true. And we've had officers on the show, like on our radio show on Light 92, they're not going to pull you over if you're going 10 kilometers over, but yet these cameras are such money-hungry pieces of shit that will fucking send you a ticket. I don't mean to curse, but life is so expensive and we have so much on our plate. The last thing you want to do is open your mailbox and see it. And don't come at me, well, you shouldn't be speeding. Hey, man, 10 kilometers over, get over it. I mean, I'm responsible. I'm not speeding through a community where there's kids, where schools and such. And that's where they're placing it. They're just nailing you in the most random places. You don't even know that the camera's there until it's too late.
Let's bring in, what did I call her earlier? The chief idiot?
Yeah.
Olivia Chow I don't believe that Torontonians elected this woman. I really don't. That's how bad it is, because people had every reason to think that Olivia Chow was going to be a nightmare for Toronto. She said she would raise taxes, but never actually told anybody how much she would raise them. People were so scared of the alternative, so scared of voting for someone that they didn't know, that they put this twit back in. Oh. And she's been doing exactly what she said she would do. Toronto has become a lawless city. Toronto has become a city that is in complete and total gridlock. Taxes are going through the roof, and these speed enforcement cameras are pissing everybody off, not the least of which a transit system that's completely dysfunctional, the FIFA World Cup, which is going way, way, way over budget. It's just a disaster how badly Toronto has fallen under the leadership of Mayor Chow. And now she does this.
This is not a joke, folks. Speed kills. There are reasons why there are speed camera there. If you're breaking the law, we're going to tag you. We're going to ask you to pay. And that is precisely why there are speed cameras in multiple places. Don't break the law. And on that road, in the Hyde Park area, people have died because of speeding. So we want to catch the people that are destroying public property. And if people are seeing or know who is doing it, let us know, because a lot of the cameras are there for a good reason, because they're usually in community safety zones, which means they're by schools, by playground where kids hang out, and or other street that have multiple accidents that have occurred. This is not a joke, folks. Speed kills. There are reason why there are speed camera there. If you're breaking the law, we're going to tag you. We are going to ask you to pay. And that is precisely why there are speed cameras in multiple places. Don't break the law. And on that road, in the Hyde Park area, people have died because of speeding. So we want to catch the people that are destroying public property. And if people are seeing or know who is doing it, let us know, because a lot of the cameras are there for a good reason, because they're usually in community safety zones, which means they're by schools, by playground where kids hang out, and or other street that have multiple accidents that have occurred.
Okay, let's do a little bit on what what she just said. Mayor Chow, I don't even feel like she deserves the respect of being called mayor. Just an embarrassment. Let me play just that first part for you one more time so everybody can be clear about what the position of the mayor is.
This is not a joke, folks. Speed kills. There are reason why there are speed camera there. If you're breaking the law, we're going to tag you. We are going to ask you to pay. And that is precisely why there are speed cameras.
Okay. That's a lie. That's a straight up lie coming from Mayor Olivia Chow. And let me explain to you why. Toronto is cash strapped. Mayor Chow has done such a disastrous job with the budget that she needs more revenue. And this isn't just a Toronto thing. This is happening in every single municipality, or most of them. If you live in a municipality where you have speed enforcement cameras, I implore you, do not vote for your incumbent mayor when we have municipal elections this fall. Full stop. If you live in a city that has a mayor that wants these cameras and believes the BS that Olivia Chow just spewed out, they're not qualified to be your mayor because they can't follow a budget. They don't know how to spend less, and that's why they go to BS things like this to try and raise revenue, and they're willing to do it off the backs of people who didn't do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. So let's go step by step with Olivia here. The reason she's talking is because once again, 7th or 8th time now, someone has cut down one of these speed enforcement cameras, and I'm all for it. I am such a law and order guy. I'm the former chair of Crime Stoppers, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I believe in following the law. I believe that all citizens have an obligation to do it. But we all understand that there's a grace period. We all understand that 50 is a speed that gives you a little bit of flexibility. If you're doing 55 and a 60, 99 times out of 100, a cop is going to leave you alone. These cameras, though, they'll nail you. Mm-hmm. And they don't care who you are or what car you're driving. Now, Mayor Chow says you're breaking the law. Well, if you are breaking the law, then why on earth don't police pull you over for doing 55 and a 50? Exactly. Why is that, Mayor Chow? Why?
She's going to tag you and you have to pay. It wasn't for safety and for, you got to pay money.
Well, she likes to tug on the heartstrings, and this is specifically appealing to old people who cannot watch the news critically. It's for safety. Speed kills. These are areas where kids play. Okay, well, if they're that imperative to public safety, I don't know why they're not on every street. They're strategically on streets where they know they're going to generate a lot of revenue. Before they put these cameras in, a lot of time and effort goes in by the city staff to figure out where they can get maximum revenue. Mm-hmm. If this truly was about speed, if she was truly that concerned, why just leave it at a camera? Because all the camera does is catch you speeding and send you a ticket. It doesn't actually slow you down in the moment. If this was about speed, why wouldn't Mayor Chow here? Just Olivia, this idiot here. Why wouldn't she put in speed bumps?
Yes.
Nothing slows people down like speed bumps. And what happens if you speed over a speed bump? You're going to get a real expensive bill from your mechanic because you're going to have to get your alignment done. You might need new tires. You might need new rims. You might scrape the bottom of your car. Speed bumps are tried, tested, true, and effective at slowing people down right now.
Yep.
Not get a ticket in the mail 10 days later. That's not what slows people down. Chances are you're never going to drive down that road again. The last time I got one, I was visiting a city that I'm not from. 2 of them. I got one in Caledon, and I happen to know from someone who works for the town of Caledon that that street is making them a fortune, an absolute fortune exiting Caledon, heading eastbound. So I got one there, and I was going 7 kilometers over the limit. I got one in Aberfoyle, which is the south end of Guelph. I was doing 54 in a 50. I got a ticket. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why. Like I said, if there was a cop there, cop wouldn't even have looked up. He would have thought, okay, well, there's somebody following the law. Great. I'll wait for somebody who's actually speeding and pull them over. But these cameras are arbitrary and they don't apply the law evenly. And that's critical. When we're talking about law and order, when we're talking about justice, the law must be applied evenly and equally. These cameras don't do that. They don't slow people down. 2 weeks later, when you get the ticket, oh, maybe I should have gone slower 2 weeks ago. Get out of here. Yeah. These are not about public safety. They're about revenue. And that camera alone, the one that keeps getting cut down on Parkside Drive, is literally generating millions of dollars in revenue for the city. So why is Olivia out here with this BS nonsense about, oh, it's about speed. It's about saving the kids. Mm-hmm. Get out of here, Olivia. Even you don't believe your own BS on that one. Even you don't. You want to slow people down, you put in a damn speed bump. Or, hear me out here, tell the cops to do it. That's their job. Mm-hmm. That's their job. And there is a cost to policing. The single biggest thing in every municipality's budget is policing. Okay, there's a cost to having cops out there watching for people that are speeding. We understand that. You've got to pay the police officers, the gas in the car they're using, buy the car, buy the insurance, what have you. There's a cost to policing. Well, why is it the same fine or more from a machine where there's zero cost to it? We didn't have to pay somebody to stand there. We didn't have to gas up a police car or insure it or buy it or lease it or any of those things. There was no cost to it. It was a stamp. That's what it cost. Why is it the same fine? Why is there a victim surcharge? Where the hell's that money going? Who's the victim? Who is the victim?
I say my bank account.
Anna, you know, I don't like to get uncomposed. I don't think it's professional to get as uncomposed as I'm about to get. So I'm going to stop myself there. But I'm here to tell you, if you live in a city that has automated speed enforcement cameras like this, if you live in Toronto, where they definitely have them, and you've got Mayor Chow there, do not vote for your mayor in the next election. Literally pick anybody you want. Whoever's got the nicest signs, whoever's got the nicest smile, whatever you want. Literally anybody other than the mayor who approved putting those cameras in your municipality, because they are taking advantage of you. They are ripping you off, and it shows how little regard they have for their citizens and their taxpayers. They know everybody's strapped. They know people are living check to check. Yep. They know unemployment's at an all-time high or almost an all-time high, and they're still going to jam you with those because they can't balance a budget? Yeah. You know, it has never occurred, I think, to Olivia Chow and most of these other mayors, particularly the real lefty ones. You could spend less. You know, when you think about all the money in your budget, you don't have to spend the same amount this year that you spent last year. You could spend less. And if you don't have the money coming in, rather than trying to raise it on the backs of honest, tax-paying, good citizens who are going 4 or 5 kilometers an hour over the speed limit, why don't you figure out how to live within your means and stick to your budget? Or cut your budget. Cut it. Mm-hmm. Do we need all of these Taj Mahal community centers and libraries in 2025? Do we? Do we need all of these excessive things that cities buy? Did we need to throw out an entire fleet of buses just because they run on gas and they're not electric and replace them with electric buses? That's what these people are doing. Half of this money that they're wasting, and the reason your property taxes are so high is because these people are addicted to the green movement. They're buying into it, or they're getting a kickback from it. I'm here to tell you, these cameras are not about public safety. I just told you. If you truly are concerned about speed, install a speed bump.
Yeah.
That's how you slow people down right now. Putting in these cameras is a cash grab. And I think that it was disgusting that the province allowed it. I think it's sick that these municipalities are enjoying it. And the fact that oh boy, I'm running out of adjectives that I can say. The fact that Olivia Chow is going to stand there and try and pretend that it's about the kids. People have been killed here. People have been killed on a lot of roads that don't have speed enforcement cameras on them. And there's no intention to put them on there either. Yeah. So again, spare me your bullshit. Your nonsense. This is not about public safety. This is a pure cash grab. You're going after regular folks to shake them down for even more money so that you don't have to look them in the eye and say, I'm going to raise your taxes even more because I'm an idiot and I can't figure out how to follow a budget. I don't understand basic debits and credits. I failed math. I never took accounting. And yet I somehow ended up as the CEO of a major municipality with $100 million a year budget.
But it's interesting because when you have to break it down like that for some because they don't want to dig themselves. They're just like, okay, this is what it is. Don't break a law. But even in Cambridge, there is one particular street and it's by a school. And anyways, they put the camera there, but they even dropped the speed even more. It used to be 40 and now it's 30 without warning.
That's the thing too.
Right? Without warning. There should be speed bumps. They did this just after school was out. People are driving faster because there are no kids. Granted, follow the speed limit, but everybody thought it was 40. They're going 50 and now it's 30 and they're getting nailed. And then why aren't those cameras on Franklin Boulevard where people speed and die consistently and get hit by cars? That's where it's madness to me. Or on our Hespeler Road, that's if you care about the safety of your people, then put it on the roads that matter. The amount of people who speed down those streets, it is scary. The way they slam on their brakes, everything. Don't give me the BS. It's not. You want money. And
it's all about money.
If the cops don't pull you over, why the hell am I then make it if you're really passionate about this, then have a speed limit. Like if the car is speeding and they're going 15 over, 20 over, that's when you get the ticket. You know what I mean? 2 weeks later, what is that doing? Now I'm for sure avoiding that area. Avoiding it.
It's pure nonsense. It's just a cash grab. They go in the areas where they're going to be the most profitable. And I also want to point out here, lowering the speed limit to 40 and even 30.
Yeah, 30.
Is completely ridiculous. It's obnoxious. Yeah. And I interviewed a mayor, and I won't say which one because on a personal level, I still like this mayor quite a bit, even though I completely disagree with his politics. He's one of the mayors that I was talking about a few minutes ago with the green wave. Okay. But he looked me in the eye and he said, Scott, we've got to do it. We're going to lower the speed limit from 50 to 40. And I said, why? And he said, because the research shows us less people will die if they get hit by a car doing 40 than 50. Oh. If you get hit by a car doing 40 or 50, you're probably effed. You're probably done. It doesn't really make a difference, but it does empower them to make even more money.
Yeah.
Friends, please, I'm begging you. Between now and October, when we have our municipal election, do a little bit of research and commit to this. If you have speed enforcement cameras in your city, look up who your mayor is. If you don't know, look up who is the mayor of your city. And if their name is on the ballot in October, anybody but them, literally anybody but the people who brought these cameras in, because they're taking advantage of you. Mm-hmm. They don't care about you. They're lying to you about public safety. That is not what this is about. They simply cannot follow a budget. And that's not your fault. You shouldn't be jammed with a major fine and victim surcharge because these people can't figure it out and don't know how to do their job.
And funny how it's all coming at the end when they could be, losing their potential jobs too. So now they're trying to fix budgets by making more money off our backs and trying to stay in office. But hey, we're on to you.
I just don't want these people to get reelected. Yeah. And what's crazy is people in Toronto can't stand Olivia Chow. They've got these polls out that say, oh, if Olivia Chow were to run again, she'd win. I don't understand it. This is a woman who has been complete chaos for the city of Toronto, and you're going to reelect her simply because you're afraid of the alternative. The same thing happened in the last federal election. A lot of people were like that. Well, I don't think things are good here at all. But I don't know about this Pierre guy, so I'm just going to vote with what I know.
Yeah.
And that is an attitude that Canadians need to stop doing. Sometimes you got to take a chance. Sometimes you got to trust your gut. And if somebody seems legit, they look legit, and they're doing all the right things, give them a shot. Don't just go with the incumbent because that's the name you know when they're intentionally screwing you.
I'm happy you said that because I've been guilty of going, with the devil that I know rather than the devil I don't know. Because then I kind of expect them to let me down. But with the other person, I don't really know what to expect. So I've been guilty of that. However, I have learned now, as you get older and you see the world for what it is, you got to take a chance because it's worth it to you, because otherwise you're going to be left behind while they're laughing.
Well, this is why they do this boogeyman thing.
Yeah.
You know it. I mean, everybody sees it. It happens provincially. It happens federally.
Yeah.
Every time there's an election, the left will try and create a boogeyman on the right. Don't vote for Pierre because he's going to take away your abortion rights. It was never true. Even now, liberals will admit, yeah, we knew that wasn't true.
And that was a big one for me.
But that was a big one, and it scared the hell out of people.
It did.
And even though it was never, ever, ever going to happen, here we are. And now we're stuck with the situation we find ourselves in now.
And I can admit it. I was that person. So now you really
Why would you believe that? Like, they've been telling you that lie for 40 years. And why would you think it's true this time?
To be honest, it's just I didn't know him. And he was very strong and in my face. And then the whole thing with Trump, and it was just like the two meshing together. And then, Carney came out because Trudeau stepped aside, and I had more liberal ways of life before. But I don't agree with what's happening. And honestly, I didn't agree with any of the parties. But I chose the evil that I knew rather than the evil I didn't know. And I'm full stop. I'm being honest with you, but I have to eat it now.
Now you have to eat it.
I have to eat it.
I'm looking squarely at you saying, look what happened.
Yeah.
I told you this would happen. And by the way, I'm not speaking me to you. I'm speaking metaphorically. Because there's a lot of people on the right who are saying, this is exactly what we told you was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, at least you, and I'll give you a full credit on this, at least you can acknowledge, yeah, you voted Liberal. Yeah, you got scared about the hyperbole about Pierre and you didn't really know him and you didn't really want to give him a chance. But now, after going with the same, you can admit that was a mistake.
Yeah, and then it was such a disappointment, to have everybody still on vacation. They haven't had cabinets,
Carney's on vacation. Ford's on vacation. Everybody's on vacation.
How great for you. I can't afford to take a vacation. How happy you can. You know what I mean? We don't have budgets. We don't have anything. Yet Mayor Chow then puts all these cameras and they're eating my last little bit of money. And now I won't be able to afford to put gas in my car. That's the situation people are in right now.
And that goes back to the law not being applied evenly. If you were in front of a judge, you can make a case to a judge. Listen, I was wrong. I made a mistake.
Yeah.
But you can't give me that fine because I physically cannot pay it or X, Y, and Z are going to happen. And sometimes a judge will have a little compassion and lower the fine. Or the Crown Attorney will say, okay, listen, you getting a $500 fine would be the equivalent of a $5,000 fine for somebody who makes a lot more money.
Yeah.
So that's punitive, and we're going to lower the fine to say $100, $50, whatever.
More
you know what I mean?
Reasonable amount that gets you through, but
These cameras
don't.
Nope, cameras don't care. They're just there to generate revenue.
Gosh.
I'm so mad about this. And every time I hear someone like Olivia Chow or these mayors get up on their high horse and taunt you, oh, it's for kids. It's for safety. There's people died here. Yeah. It's just nonsense because even they know they're lying to you. It's just about money.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Another topic that came up yesterday on the pod. I discussed this at great length. And I heard a lot of feedback about this yesterday was what Nova Scotia and New Brunswick are doing with banning people from walking in the forest. And I'll admit, Anna, the conversation, the discourse here was starting to get ugly because I saw people that I know are real smart people, reasonable people that I actually respect and admire, siding with the province of Nova Scotia and Manitoba and actually trying to justify this like, well, we just can't have these fires and we got to keep people out of the forests. We got to do it because people in the forests can cause fires and we know how it can happen. And then there was the argument from the other side. Listen, me, having walked through the forest many times in my life, have never once burned it down. Me, having been through thousands of dog walks over the years along the trail, have never set anything on fire. This is an overreach, and they're banning everybody from the forest, whereas they should just ban the activity that could cause a fire. That would be open fires, smoking, things like that. That would have been the compromise. But the government decided to go all in on this, and they banned people from the forest. Not just banned them, threatened them with a $25,000 fine. Apparently 7 $25,000 fines have been handed out already from people who defied the order.
Yeah.
Well, now we've learned. I'm assuming the governments of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick realize they're the butt of jokes. The vast majority of people that I can see have had a good laugh about this at some point. Susan Holt is the Premier of New Brunswick. Please listen to her explain that the people who said it's stupid to ban people from the forest because they might start a fire are right. Listen to the Premier, a Liberal Premier. Listen to her say it.
Me going for a walk in the woods is going to cause a fire. I can understand why people think that that's ridiculous.
She
my God.
She just said it. I can understand why people think that's ridiculous, because it is ridiculous to say that a person walking in the forest might start a fire. I heard it. Anna, I was watching people twist and turn and contort themselves like you wouldn't believe, trying to justify this. Somebody actually texted into our radio show yesterday and said, listen, you got to keep people out of the forest because, like, if they have a gum wrapper that they throw on the ground, that gum wrapper can heat up and start a forest fire. I asked AI, I asked Grok and ChatGPT if a gum wrapper could start a fire, and they're both highly skeptical that it could set a tree on fire. That's unlikely. But nonetheless, I suppose there's a remote possibility.
Anything's possible. However, common sense.
Now even the Premier of New Brunswick is admitting, yeah, it's ridiculous. That's not the reason. Now they're changing the script. They're moving the goalpost. Follow the bouncing ball. It's a new excuse now. Here is the rest of what Premier Holt had to say.
Reality is, it's not that you might cause a fire. It's that if you're out there walking in the woods and you break your leg, we're not going to come and get you, because we have emergency responders that are out focused on a fire that is threatening the lives of New Brunswickers. And if you take your boat out fishing in a pond in Crown Land and you capsize, we're not going to be able to come and help you out, because our first responders are focused on an immediate and serious threat to our province. And so it's the possibility of diverting emergency resources away from where they are really needed.
Oh my gosh, there's so much wrong with all of that.
We're not really a serious country, right? Like in this episode, you've heard from two prominent politicians in Canada, Olivia Chow and the Premier of New Brunswick. And frankly, they both sound like total idiots. They do. And these are our leaders. These are people that actually convince thousands of people to vote for them.
Yeah, no.
Anna, have you ever randomly just fallen down and broken your leg and had to call for help?
No.
You've never done that?
No.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest that the vast majority of us can successfully navigate ourselves from A to B without falling down and breaking our leg. Totally. Now, is there anything to what the Premier is saying there? Well, I think there is. I'm going to justify it a little bit.
Oh, I'm interested. I want to hear what you got to say. Oh, okay.
There are situations where emergency services have better things to do. One of the things that you may not even be aware of, because I know you were out working for CTV on the East Coast for years.
Yes.
Did you ever have any run-ins with the Premier of New Brunswick here?
No.
You said Tim Houston's a bit of an idiot, but what about this one?
No. But yeah, that I didn't come across her for good reason. But yeah, and I always had to be very quiet and no opinion. So this is very
it's CTV,
freeing.
right?
This is very freeing now, so I can say, because I've lived out there, and these bans are the most ridiculous and far-fetched shit I've ever heard in my life.
So here's the thing. There used to be these folks that would go and try and climb the Scarborough Bluffs.
Yeah.
It's like a cliffside over Lake Ontario in East Toronto, the Scarborough Bluffs. And people would go adventure seeking, and they would end up getting stuck. And we had to send emergency crews in to rescue them, to get them down from the hill that they climbed. I thought that was an incredible waste of time and money and resources. You know, like those first responders have better things to do than rescue you because you decided to go on a weird adventure.
Yeah.
We're talking about something completely different when you go for a walk in the woods with your dog. The odds of you falling and breaking your leg and needing emergency services, as in, I cannot move myself, I need somebody with an ambulance and medical training to come to me. The odds of that happening are very, very, very slim. But what the Premier here is saying is that even if that does happen, they're not coming to get you because they're laser focused on fighting the fires.
Oh.
It's kind of an asinine thing because we are paying for all of it.
Yeah.
We have these people on staff ready to help us if we need it. And this isn't a case of misadventure. This is a case of I needed to cool down, so I went for a walk in the forest. I wanted to get regrounded with nature. And for some people, walking through the forest is the best thing you can do.
Yes, mental health.
Walking your dog, any of the reasons that you might go to the forest. Not the least of which is a lot of people want to go to the beach. And in many cases, to get to the beach, you got to walk through the trail through the forest.
Hello, Nova Scotia.
I've got family that lives in beautiful homes that back onto Crown land in the Ottawa Valley.
Yeah.
Okay, well, their backyard is Crown land. You telling me they can't walk through their backyard?
Legit.
It's stupid. It's completely stupid. They're not going to start a fire. And if they do, they should be punished to the fullest extent of the law.
100%.
If they defy the burn ban and they decide, well, even though it's really dry and it's wildfire season, I'm going to start a campfire anyway. And that leads to a forest fire. That's a criminal thing, and they should be charged criminally.
Yep, I agree.
To treat this like a bylaw and just fine somebody $25,000 because they went for a random innocent walk in the woods seems crazy to me. But what the Premier here again is saying is that first responders are not coming to get you.
That's horrible.
So again, this was never about people starting fires. It was never about that.
Control.
It was about control. Using the Premier's own argument there that if there's something going on and we need our first responders to deal with that, you can't do anything that might put you in a situation where you need their help. Well, that is a real slippery slope there, Madam Premier.
Yeah.
So using her logic, they should fine people $25,000 if they dare leave their home during a snowstorm. One of those big East Coast snowstorms where they get like 60, 70 centimeters at once. Those first responders are busy dealing with car crashes. They're busy dealing with snow removal. They're busy trying to keep ambulances, roads clear for ambulances and fire trucks. Great. If you leave your home during a snowstorm or when the remnants of a hurricane are going by,
live through all of that.
You should be fined $25,000. Does that sound reasonable to anybody that you'd get fined for leaving your own home when you want to leave your home? It's the same argument. Don't do anything that could lead to you needing first responders when first responders are focused on something else. It's the same argument. If we allow this to go unchallenged, unchecked, undebated, just the government says you got to stay out of the forest, so we're going to stay out of the forest. Right or wrong, it's okay to question authority. There's no end date on this. It's not like Susan is saying for the rest of this week and we'll reevaluate on Monday, but we're going to go in 2 or 3 day stretches. For today and tomorrow, stay out of the forest. It's not like that. This is an open-ended, stay out of the forest until we tell you you can go back in. And that's wrong. Government should not have that kind of authority unchecked, unchallenged. At the end of the day, maybe the government is going to win this one. Maybe the courts, because everybody that got a ticket is going to fight it.
Of course.
Maybe the courts will side with the province, but that doesn't mean we just give them a pass to do whatever they want. It's our responsibility as citizens to challenge authority when the authority seems to have gone rogue. And frankly, the fact that yesterday they said people walking through forests will cause forest fires and had to pivot because they realized we look really stupid here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the laughing stock of the world.
Yeah. It's outrageous.
And had to change the story to, actually, it's not that you're going to start a fire. It's that you might fall and break your leg and we don't have services to come and get you. It just goes to show they're making it up as they go along. And again, there's nothing wrong with challenging authority. It's okay to do that. It's healthy in a democracy to not allow these leaders to just arbitrarily do whatever they want with no discourse or discussion.
Absolutely. And having lived out on the East Coast, many people, don't have the luxury of having air conditioning or things like that. Going down through the forest to get down to the lake with their dog for themselves, it's where they go and cool off. Also, this is affecting a lot of entrepreneurs and their businesses. They take, camps, they go out canoeing, they do a lot of different things. You're hurting that industry as well. Keep that in mind because you don't care. Also, another thing, when we had some of the worst fires, forest fires, 2023, I lived there. We were talking about it on the air, and that was man-made. It wasn't in the forest. It was somebody who didn't abide by the burn ban and was burning things in her backyard. The wind took it and started a fire because it hit hit her roof and then took out a whole residential area. And somebody else, another Joe Blow down in the South Shore, they decided, hey, I want to cause trouble, put it on Snapchat of them burning something on purpose. Had nothing to do with somebody going for a walk. Do not take that away from those who enjoy nature. My other thing is too, if you're going for a walk, the likelihood of you smoking and throwing that bud on somebody's lawn and causing a fire is higher than you going into the forest right now, because that's where you're at. You're residential, you're having a drink, you're getting in the patio. I've lived there, I know it. People just toss buds, no problem. I find that people are quite respectful for the most part when they're in the forestry because they're just wanting to be one with nature.
Let me play just one more thing from the Premier here.
Thank you.
The Premier of New Brunswick. This is her, and this was a serious response. Again, this is one of our leaders. This is somebody who somehow convinced the majority of people in her province to vote for her. Listen to how unserious our East Coast politicians sound. This is a question yesterday for the Premier of New Brunswick.
Of course, many New Brunswickers naturally want to get back into the forest. What will it take for that to happen?
What will it take for that to happen? Yeah, a lot of rain. That's, I was going to say, an act of God. What we need is rain. We need the forests to get the water that they need to not be as dry and as in tinder-ready conditions that fires can start with just the slightest bit of heat that could come from a motorized vehicle, that could come from a lens, from a spark or otherwise.
Jesus.
If everybody can get out their best rain song, rain dance, rain prayers, that's what it'll take to get to the point where we know that the risk of fires is down, and we're encouraging people it's a great time to go out and take your dog for a walk on the beach.
Then don't let us out of the house.
I think that's what they'd prefer.
Honestly, if we're that desperate, and yes, we need rain. I'm for that. We should be respectful. But then don't let anybody do anything outside. Don't let them go for a walk with their dog in case their glasses are peeking out of their face too much and the sun hits it directly and then it starts a lawn on fire. Like, I don't know, but that's how outrageous she sounds to me.
Do a rain dance? Like, are you serious?
Like, what?
Why don't you grow up, Susan? Why don't you just grow up and just take your stupidity
But you said it too. There is no end date. So she didn't even say if it rains, then okay, we can go into the forest. She didn't even say that. She's like, we're just hoping for rain. And then what? We need a plan here then. You're just Hail Marying this. Like, it's so ridiculous to me. People are actually going to be hurt and are hurting because of this decision. You should challenge those in
especially
in government.
When you hear how unqualified these people are. Like, that was a serious thing from a premier of a Canadian province. Yeah. Do your best rain dance, do your best rain song, or do your best rain prayer.
Wow.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
We're having a conversation here about you trying to severely limit people's mobility.
Yeah.
And that's your answer? Do a rain dance?
Mm-hmm. It's just, and all those parks that are closed. It's just such poor taste. I don't know, man. It really makes me angry. I have so many friends who live out there still, and to this day, they're very much affected by everything that's happening. And who has $25,000? How about if you accidentally or in your own backyard, you cross a line too much, then you get nailed?
Man, that's not going to happen.
No, but if you're out in Cape Breton where it's forestry and that is part of your property, they get you wherever. They're out there.
Are they aware, by the way, that they're on the ocean?
I know.
Do they realize that they are surrounded on three sides by water, New Brunswick? Yeah. Like, this really shouldn't be an issue. I understand you want rain and need rain, but you have an endless supply of water around you. I don't understand why we can't work with what we've got.
Yeah.
Get those water bombers in there. What they're doing in southern Ontario, in the Kawartha Lakes area, just north of Bobcaygeon, they've got these water bombers, and there's only 2 or 3 of them. Constant loops. They drop their load, they go into a local lake, a nearby one, they scoop up, and they're up again. They're dropping multiple plane loads of water per hour. And that's just out of a small lake. Mm-hmm. When you're surrounded by ocean, this shouldn't be a problem. Run a hose. Yeah. Do whatever you have to do. Get the water on the forest and start asking why these forests weren't managed properly. Because these forests would not be going up the way they are had they been managed properly.
But we should just do a rain dance and pray for the best.
Well, jeez. Okay, I can tell you right now, we're probably not going to have time for Trump today, but I'll try and do that tomorrow. I will also have a small, brief, but important Silent Date Guy update on tomorrow's podcast.
Oh my gosh, I miss our little friend.
Silent Date Guy. People ask me about him all the time.
People ask me all the time, and I'm like, again, I stress the fact I don't know him. I know what you know. So let's pester Scott together.
Tomorrow, I will have a brief update. And just so you know, tomorrow's episode is going to be a little bit shorter because one of the things that I dedicate my time to is I've got a couple charitable causes that I like. And if they ask me to do something for them, I'm gonna. So tomorrow I've got an event shortly after the morning show. I'm still going to do a pod. It'll still come out tomorrow, but it won't be an overly long one because I do have to get to this golf tournament, and then I'm going to MC the dinner and try and raise a lot of money for a great cause.
So nice.
Before we wrap up today's, though,
Okay.
today the portal opens up. As you know, Toronto is going to host the 2026 FIFA World Cup, the men's World Soccer Championship. They want 3,000 volunteers to support everything from the fan experience to accessibility services, media operations, event logistics, and more during the World Cup. Toronto is asking 3,000 people to work for free, even though Toronto just stroked a check for $380 million to make these games happen. Even though all the people that are spending this ridiculous amount of money, the mayors, the councillors, and what have you, they're all getting paid. The police, who are going to have to work a ton of overtime, they're getting paid. The athletes are certainly getting paid. Everybody's making money off of this, except for the people who have to do the grunt work, and the city of Toronto wants you to volunteer for it. Imagine spending $380 million minimum. We know it's going to go way over. They're already charging a hotel tax in Toronto, even though the event's not until next year. And that's to raise money for the World Cup. $380 million minimum is what it's going to cost. And they can't afford to pay minimum wage to the volunteers who are going to have to actually run the event.
And people are in desperate need for work. What a great opportunity to pay those who have been struggling to find a job. But no, you're asking them to work for free. I get for some, this would be a great thing to put on a resume.
It won't be a good thing to put on a
Right?
resume. It's
But
not going to make a difference.
I don't believe
Nobody's
it will
hiring you because you
either.
volunteered at the World Cup. Get out of here.
I believe you. I too feel that same way. But that's how they can spin it. Oh, for potential workplaces and blah, blah, blah. No, they just want to work you to the bone and they're not going to pay you. I just want you to be aware. And for the majority, you're not going to catch any of the games.
Let me get to the story and then we can talk about why it's a bad
I'm
idea.
sorry. I jumped right to it because I was like...
Okay, let's get to the story and then we'll get to the breakdown. They say this is a unique opportunity to contribute to a global event, demonstrate civic pride, and help showcase the city's diversity and hospitality on the world stage. Behind every goal and celebration will be a dedicated team of volunteers ensuring the experience runs smoothly. Aside from having the chance to gain practical experience, develop new skills, and make lasting memories, those who take part in the volunteer program will have the rare opportunity to contribute to an historic moment for Toronto. So the portal is opening today. You can go to, let me give you the actual address, toronto.ca/FIFA volunteer. Toronto.ca/FIFA volunteer. But before you do, let me point out a few things here. I've already pointed out the city has got ample money for this, $380 million, even though this event, the vast majority of people around here are not going to get into it. Wealthy people from around the world are going to snap up the tickets. If it's a game involving, I don't know, Spain,
Portugal,
the tickets are going to go quick.
Yeah.
The average person is not going to get a chance to participate in this, but we're all going to sit in the gridlock. We're all going to have to go through various locked down security zones, and that's what's coming. There will be zones that you can and cannot enter. Certain hotels are going to be completely off limits because they're for athletes and officials and things like that. The city is going to be basically immovable. You're not going to be able to go around. It's going to be locked down hardcore during the 2026 FIFA World Cup. That's just the way it is. It's going to be like that. Now, if you're a volunteer, you will be able to get into some of those secure zones. But what are you going to do when you're there? Well, let's see here. They say volunteers who are at the heart of every major city, this is your chance to be a part of history. Maybe you're thinking, you know what? I'll volunteer and I'll do security so I can at least see the game. No, those people get paid. Security is going to get paid very well, by the way, because the companies that are being contracted to provide security are getting paid a lot of money. You will be doing, let's see here, fan experiences, That's very vague. That's probably face painting for kids outside the stadium, or maybe you're doing a pop-up merch shop over at Union Station or something like that. But no, you won't be watching the game. You're just working for free. Accessibility services. I'm not quite sure what that entails, but media operations. Okay, for media operations, you're going to be driving a shuttle bus, taking the world's media from the stadium back to their hotels. You're also going to be printing stuff off and handing it to broadcasters. You're not going to be doing anything that involves watching the game or being part of it. You're just going to be a runner. Event logistics. Okay, again, we're driving and we're moving things. That's what you're going to do. There's a lot of different things on here, including airport greeter. Imagine that. You volunteer for the World Cup and you get stationed up at Pearson, saying hello to people, holding up a sign that says, take this bus to get to the downtown hotels, or take the Up Express downtown to Union Station.
Yeah.
These are the kind of jobs they want you to do, but for free. So there's not really going to be an opportunity to feel like you're part of the games. You'll get a neat little lanyard out of it that says you were a volunteer, but it's not going to mean anything on your resume. It's going to take up a lot of your time. And frankly, I don't know what you're going to get out of it. That's just one side of it. Maybe you think, you know what? I'd like to volunteer and give back. Give back to who? Because the city doesn't appreciate it. The people that do get appreciation are getting paid. The volunteers are really just the grunts.
Yeah.
You're not really going to be part of the FIFA World Cup. Not in the way that you might think you would. If you think you're going to be down at BMO Field celebrating and partying, no, you've got a job and they'll make sure you do your job. If you think you're going to be able to just look over a shoulder and watch the game, you probably won't even be at the stadium. There's a lot of World Cup stuff that has nothing to do with the actual stadium. Case in point, they've got this countdown to the FIFA World Cup set up in Niagara Falls. What the hell does that have to do with it? Why Niagara Falls? What does that have to do with the Toronto World Cup? But if you are a volunteer and get stationed down there to take photos of tourists in front of the sign, what did you really get? You bought yourself 2 weeks worth of a lot of work for no pay. And I think it's wrong that in this economy, when there's that many people looking for jobs, the city has the audacity to ask you to do it and do it for free.
Absolutely.
When they're all getting paid.
All of it. And you're going to be doing the grunt work. If you think you're going to be close to a player, you're not. If you, security, that's why they're there, to secure that you don't get close to them, because you're an ordinary person like everybody else who's trying to get in. So I think you just have to be very mindful, because in the end, it's going to cost you money. You're going to have to pay your way to get down there, to, get to A and B. They're not paying for any of it. And if you still choose to put it on a resume, that's on you. We're going to have similar experience. If you want to be a part of history, I can go walk around the same area and be like, I was a part of history. I went to the World Cup in some capacity. But I did not have to go through all the hoops that you're going to go through. I just want you to be mindful. You should be paid for the amount of work that you're going to be doing. And it's going to be a lot.
Nobody should work for free.
Yeah.
Nobody. Yeah. Period. Full stop. The end. Nobody should work for free. Calling it volunteering and do your civic pride is actually asinine. It has nothing to do with anything. And by the way, when it comes to the volunteers, I do come at this with a little bit of experience. You might remember Toronto hosted, I think it was the 2015 Pan Am Games. Huge event, sucked up a ton of resources, cost us a fortune to do. I was hired to be the stadium announcer for the Pan Am Games at BMO Field. And so I was announcing there, and it was a good experience for me. And I got paid very, very well to do it. Mm-hmm. But everybody that had to go and get me water and, Scott can't leave, he's got to be in the booth, so somebody's got to go and get Scott's lunch. That was the sort of stuff that volunteers were doing. That's the sort of stuff that you're going to be doing.
So I did something similar. It was for TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival. Anyways, I volunteered. They had asked me. They presented it in the same way. Like, this is a great experience. Put it on a resume. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do it. I was a seat runner, so I had to wait in line in a seat for the first time 12 hours so we could be positioned so the reporter could interview the stars. So once the reporter got there, I had to leave. That was it.
See?
And I didn't get anything out of it. And
Nothing.
I never did it again.
But I mean, they'll tell you, oh, it looks good on a resume.
Oh my gosh. No one's ever asked about that. I've voluntarily has said, do you know I did the Toronto Film Festival actually? And they're like, what'd you do? I held a seat for the reporter.
Yeah. It's completely ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, but listen, one more thing I'm going to fit in here, and I'm completely at time and over, so I'm just going to do this one quick. One of the stories that's in the news right now is about the flight attendants from Air Canada. And you just heard me say, nobody should work for free, period, full stop, the end. Nobody should be expected to work and not be paid for it. These flight attendants from Air Canada are right now trying to get a new contract. And part of the reason that they're unhappy is because, lo and behold, they don't actually get paid until the door closes and the plane starts taxiing. All the stuff they do before a flight, they don't get paid for. They also stop getting paid when they arrive back at their destination. When the plane door opens, they're off the clock. But they still have a job to do. As flight attendants, they've got to help people who need extra assistance. They've got to clean the aircraft and whatever else happens. If there's a medical emergency on board or whatever, they don't get paid for any of that. So I've got a couple of schools of thought on this, and I'll just do this quickly. I fully support the Air Canada flight attendants. Nobody should work a minute without getting paid and paid appropriately for the job they're doing. Full stop. But I also know that the Air Canada union here, the flight attendants, they're probably on what, a 4 or 5 year contract?
Likely, that's usually
it's a 4 or 5 year contract. I don't remember this coming up in 2020 or 2021. This seems new to me. Like, I was actually surprised to hear that the flight attendants don't get paid until the door closes and the plane takes off. And all the stuff they do before a flight, even the boarding process, they don't get paid for that. Did they agree to this? Because I would have to think that if that's their job now and they want to negotiate a better deal, I don't blame them. But at some point semi-recently, they must have agreed to this for that to be the current situation.
But I also think, like, even 4 or 5 years ago, COVID times, people weren't traveling in the same way. So maybe they needed job security and probably didn't have it at the time. So they agreed to whatever was presented. Now times have changed. People are traveling again. And you shouldn't be exposed to things that you're not getting paid to fix. So there you go.
Okay. But another thing on this. And again, I fully support the flight attendants. I hope that they get paid and they get what they want in this case. And I don't often side with the union, just so you know. That's not usually a position that I take, but in this case, I do side with the union. I'm just wondering, A, why did they agree to do this in the first place? And it would have been sometime in the last 5 years, in all likelihood. They agreed to not get paid for that. And also, I have met flight attendants, several of them actually, and sometimes I'll hear something like, I was a flight attendant, but I got out of it because I wanted to settle down and have a kid, and you can't have kids when you are on a flight attendant schedule. Or I got married and we had to... Inconsistency. There's a number of reasons that people have left the industry. I've never once had a flight attendant tell me the money wasn't good or the perks weren't good or anything like that, which leads me to believe that it is a pretty good job overall. And the money isn't bad. They just want more in the way of getting paid for what they do before and after the actual plane is in the air.
I think that's fair because I've sat and waited to board, and the amount of abuse some of them have received from passengers in terms of, upgrades or this or that. And then also when you're departing a plane and the mess that is left behind sometimes.
People are gross.
And they have to clean that. It's just, wow. I would hope I would be paid to pick up somebody's mess. And some people just don't care. They are gross. They don't care because they're like, somebody else is going to clean out my problem, but it should be your problem. So
give me the lowdown. If you're an Air Canada flight attendant or, even WestJet, Porter, Flair, Swoop, whatever, give me the lowdown. What's it like being a flight attendant? Is it good money? I've heard all the stuff about, it sucks because you got to sit and eat your lunch like 3 feet from where people are taking a dump. I get that. That's not nice, obviously. Obviously, people are rude and we don't like people in general. I understand that. But I mean, as far as what you take home at the end of the month or at the end of the pay period for the work you do and the perks you get, tell me what it's like being a flight attendant. Is it worth it overall? Do you get free travel? Can you bring friends or your partner when you get that free travel? What kind of perks do you get? Tell me the inside scoop on why it is good or not good to be a flight attendant. Is this a career that you would recommend for your own child?
Ooh.
I'd like to hear all of the answers to those questions. Please let me know. Slide into my DMs at Scott Fox On Air. Friends, I will see you tomorrow with a shorter episode for sure, but that's because I've got a charitable heart, and if I can give back, I always will. So tomorrow will be shorter, but I'm going to make it a good one. I hope you can check back in then. Anna, thanks for your time today.
Thanks for letting me go off.
And you did. Have a great day, everybody. Oh.